Good morning, good evening, and everything in between. It's your favorite Disney dads here to keep you entertained from rope drop till final firework pop. It's always a good time in this kingdom, so adjust those ears and gather your snacks. And settle in, fellow Mouseketeers, because it's about to get magical. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Dadventures Around the Kingdom. Cam, how are you feeling this week?
Buddy, I get to go to two of my most anticipated movies of the year. Well, two of like five anticipated movies. Saw The Odyssey last week. Loved it. This week coming up, we're seeing Spider-Man Brand New Day. And that's got me feeling really freaking good right now, buddy. I'm so excited. I freaking love Spider-Man. A new Spider-Man movie is coming out when you're listening to this. It's out right now. Stevie and I are seeing it tomorrow with our friend Kevin. I couldn't be more excited. What a week it's been. It's literally just going to work, doing stuff, knowing 3 more days, 2 more days, 1 more day, and then we'll get to see a brand new Spider-Man movie in theaters, and I'm so pumped.
Yeah, I'm pumped for Spider-Man. I've always loved Spider-Man. Spider-Man's always been my favorite superhero whether it's Marvel, DC, it doesn't matter. Spider-Man has been my main I love the video games. We can go back to Tobey Maguire. We can go back to the animated series. There's been it's been like 10 different animated series. And the MCU, I must say, this might be a topic for another time, but I don't know if I think I would put Tom Holland as my favorite Spider-Man so far. I know some people are huge fans of Tobey Maguire, and what Tobey did, I like. Garfield, I was kind of so with that version of Spider-Man, but the high school Spider-Man that I grew up on is the Tom Holland one, and I think he does it perfectly.
Yeah, I think Tom is. I know Tom is my favorite Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is great. His movies just suck, and it's not his fault. The movies themselves were just awful, especially Spider-Man 2. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is one of the worst superhero movies I think I've ever watched. I still like it, kind of, even though
hold on. Worse than Green Lantern?
I said one of. That's why I said one of. No. And even Green Lantern is actually not even the worst. Morbius is actually the worst.
I didn't even see that.
It's God. And I'm only saying that because I haven't seen Madam Web.
Yeah.
But I am excited for the new Lantern shows. But anyway, let's get into today's topic. It's Spider-Man week. Today, I thought when I texted Stevie last week, like, what should we do for a topic this week? My thought was, why don't we rank our top 5 favorite MCU Spider-Man things, is what I'm going to say. So it can be anything in the MCU that is Spider-Man related. So it could be from anything from the 3 Spider-Man movies that have come out in the MCU. So whether it's Homecoming, Far From Home, or No Way Home. And it could be anything he's in as well, which could be Civil War, could be Infinity War, and could be Endgame. The only caveat is with those 3 movies, it has to be Spider-Man related, because obviously there's a bajillion great moments in Endgame. My favorite being Cap getting Mjolnir. That can't count, even though Spider-Man's in that movie. So for those 3, it has to be Spider-Man related. For this, can be anything. We can say a favorite moment, a favorite acting performance, whatever it may be, a character reveal, a spoiler, or not spoiler, like a twist, or even music, whatever you want to do. Mine, I'm going to be honest with you, they're all moment related. But that's what the list comes down to. So our 5 favorite MCU. Oh, I didn't tell you this, Stevie. What If is also in fair play. I don't have a single what if moment. But if you had a what if moment, because technically that is MCU, even though it's a cartoon. And actually, now I'm thinking about it, Friendly Neighborhood Spider. Actually, that's not considered MCU. That's like Marvel Television. If you included that, that's fine too. I don't have any cartoon. I have all live action stuff. But
yeah, mine is all live action.
Great. So we'll just pretend those 2 don't exist then. But
I didn't even think of the Spider-Man animated show that Disney Plus made, even though that is technically MCU, because all that what if stuff,
multiverse,
what if stuff, and like, because what's it called? because the Watcher was in the animated show.
Yes.
So yeah, technically that's all MCU. I didn't even think of that. Wow.
I did it, but I didn't include any of those moments still. Mine are I want to tell them all them things.
Yeah, mine are all live action.
Stevie, you kind of, before we get to the list, you kind of mentioned it. Spider-Man for me has always been my favorite superhero. It's been Spider-Man, Batman, Superman my whole life. I freaking love Spider-Man. I remember like just falling in love with the animated show. I would watch it at my grandparents' house. Growing up, we had like the VHS of it, and I would just watch it over and over again. And then you had the Tobey Maguire movies come out. And at the time, like, I didn't. Now looking back, I'm like, Tobey Maguire is way too old to be playing a high school kid, which is why I like Tom Holland being cast when he did, and now he's old enough to play a college adult kind of Peter Parker. I was too young to realize that all those Spider-Man characters in the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi, Spider-Mans were really too old to be in high school, but I was enamored with those films, especially Spider-Man 2. I watched that DVD over and over and over again. I played that Spider-Man 2 game forever on the GameCube. And Stevie, I don't even think I made it past level 2. I would just beat the thugs at the grocery store and just swing around for hours around New York City in this what I thought was just an open world Spider-Man, even though it had a storyline. I just ignored the storyline. Just swinging around New York. I was enamored by him. He's the first comic book character I ever read, because my introduction to superheroes was pretty common for people my age, was cartoons. So whether it's Batman animated series, Spider-Man animated series, X-Men the animated series as well. Dabbled a little bit with like the Justice League, or didn't really watch the Superman ones until later in life, but whatever, that's DC.
Yeah.
But that was my intro, was the cartoons, then the live action, and then I started getting into the comic books. And my God, when I discovered what a Newberry Comics was, I was begging my dad every single month, I got to get this pull for this new Spider-Man. And I had stacks and stacks of Spider-Man comics growing up. And God, I wish I knew where those were still to this day. They probably donated, but now, with the invention of things like Marvel Unlimited, which is like a subscription service where you can like kind of like Disney Plus, instead of watching the shows, you're reading digital comic books. You can just plow through so many different Spider-Man stories, whether it's Peter Parker or Miles or Spider-Gwen or Ghost Spider now she's called. All these things. It's really, really cool. So with that, Stevie, let's get to our list, my friend. What is your number 5 Spider-Man MCU thing moment? Are yours moments? For the most part?
These are it's a mix. I've got some moments. I've got some characters. Like it's a couple of different things. So my number 5, and it was just a personal. When I saw this in Far From Home, this was a personal, like, oh my God, I love this. J.K. Simmons returning as J. Jonah Jameson.
Mm-hmm.
I think J.K. Simmons plays J. Jonah Jameson so well, and for a lot of other people, just the voice, but also their introduction were from the Sam Raimi movies, and so Daily Bugle, J. Jonah Jameson. It was just perfect, just a perfect match. He looks and sounds exactly how you would want J. Jonah Jameson to be like.
Mm-hmm.
They did it perfect in the old movies. The fact that he came back, but it was also the fact that in the movie he just kind of showed up. Like there was never any other talks about like Daily Bugle and all this other stuff in the MCU. So just the fact that it kind of like popped up on, like, if what I remember, it wasn't Times Square, but it was like Times Square-esque, that it just kind of popped up. So like just seeing him alone was an absolute favorite moment, because it was just a nostalgia moment. Like it brings me back to the old Spider-Man movies. And I was like, this is, thank you for bringing him into the MCU. He was so perfect in the role that you had to bring him back. And I just loved it.
Yeah. Like it's easy to forget too. Like that wasn't even like technically in the movie. That was a post-credit scene kind of thing.
Yes. And
that was so overshadowed because that was the scene where Peter Parker's identity to the world gets released in Far From Home.
Yep.
And at the time it was confusing because like going into the movie, I was so convinced, like, wow, maybe Mysterio is from a multiverse. What is as a comic book reader, what a dumb person I was, because of course he was never going to be from a multiverse. But you just had this feeling like, oh my god, like we open up a can of worms, like multiverse, the Infinity Saga is over, like this is it, we're gonna have the multiverse. So in my head, I'm like, oh my god, is this Jameson from like a multiverse from like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man? It's it's the same actor, same character kind of thing, but it is, there's just two J. Jonah Jamesons there, and like sometimes the two characters in different universes look completely different. Reed Richards looks different in Doctor Doom or Doctor Strange versus what he does in Fantastic Four, because it's John Krasinski versus Pedro Pascal. In this case, same actor playing two separate characters, but this time he's got a podcast, which is very, very like apropos of 2020s, which is funny that he had a podcast. No, great moment. Great moment. My number five. So my number 5 comes from Civil War. If you had to guess, everybody probably knows this moment. It's Iron Man going underoos, and Spider-Man just swoops over Team Cap, does a flip, gets the first web out in the movie, steals Captain America's shield. He's on top of, like, I forget if he's on like a baggage car or whatever.
Yeah.
He's in the airport scene in Germany, with just like in the typical Spider-Man pose, but with the Captain America shield, was awesome. I remember that was like a Toys R Us exclusive Funko Pop that I bought. I have it like somewhere on the shelf. I actually am looking at it right now. One of the coolest moments, because it was at the time my favorite MCU superhero was Captain America, because we didn't have Spider-Man at that point. And seeing my favorite superhero growing up with Captain America's shield in this big moment. Obviously, Spider-Man's properties for movies is owned by Sony, so it was a big deal that they even got him this far into the MCU, even though it's a Sony property as far as movies are concerned. It took so much for Marvel and Disney to get the rights for Spider-Man into a movie, and even though they don't own the rights, they're able to do a nice partnership with Sony to bring in this iconic freaking superhero into what at the time was the biggest film franchise ever. Everyone was talking Marvel. Now people like to shit on Marvel a little bit, and I still think it's great, but that moment will just, I remember seeing that trailer and be like, he's here. I don't know who this Tom Holland kid is, grew to love him, but my god, Spidey is in universe MCU. And at the time we knew that there was gonna be future Spider-Man movies, and just so much hype going into that moment. And even though he's only in for a small portion of Civil War, it was such a big impact, and I loved it.
Yeah, and I remember when I first saw that scene and just him showing up, just I was locked into everything, because obviously with that movie, that was also the introduction of others such as like Black Panther, and whatnot. And so like at first I was like, wow, this Black Panther guy, like this dude seems like legit. And he was like, all right, my dad died, and I'm out for this Winter Soldier guy. And then when Spider-Man showed up, I was like, stop everything. Spider-Man is here. This is it. Spider-Man has finally showed up. But one thing I just thought of when you mentioned that, because I forgot that they were in Germany during that time.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, I feel like a majority of Tom Holland's MCU Spider-Man tenure, he has been everything but a neighborhood Spider-Man. He has been outer worldly Spider-Man. Like, he's gone to Germany, he's gone through Europe, he's gone to space. There's been very few times where he's actually doing things in New York, like just fighting petty crime in New York City. And it's like, I guess No Way Home is the first time that he's Homecoming, he's home, but that's kind of because Iron Man essentially kind of puts him on like a curfew. Like, I don't need you going anywhere else. But yeah, Far From Home, I thought it was like that's when you really got to see him fight in New York. But it's like a lot of times he's not in New York. He's everywhere else.
And that's why I really like, I've said this to friends before, and like, Homecoming is not a Spider-Man origin story. the 3 Spider-Man movies in the MCU, the trilogy, is this version of Spider-Man's origin story. Instead of it being in one movie, it's in 3 films. Because if you think about it, he grows so much in these 3, right? Like in most movies, the first movie is when Uncle Ben dies. You get the with great power comes great responsibility. You get that in the 3rd movie. So if you think of these 3 movies as one origin story, because essentially the end of No Way Home sets up the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, right? For the most part,
yes,
you're seeing Spider-Man in Stark Industries tech, basically. Not even basically. You see him a little bit in Homecoming in like that, like one of my favorite Spidey outfits ever, like the sweatshirt, the goggles, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's for like a brief moment. For the most part, he's in a Tony Stark designed suit, whether it's the red and blue suit with the black stripe here, whether it's the Iron Spider suit in Infinity War and Endgame and in No Way Home. He has tons of tech upgrades. He's got the glasses, the nanotech in Far From Home. Like, it was an origin story where like the whole time was like, okay, this is kind of like a mini Tony Stark. And then you get that 3rd movie where at the very end, he's sewing his own suit, right? And you get that classic look of Spider-Man. There's not as much tech involved with it. Yeah, he has the web fluid to do the web shooters, which is comic book accurate. But really, like that's the end of his origin story. And now we're in this new chapter, right? So now is when I think we're gonna get more of this whole like New York-based Spider-Man, where he's gonna be helping the local people, but then also he's gonna have some big bad villains. Like obviously, this new movie we have coming out has Tombstone in it, Scorpions in it, Boomerangs in it. The Hulk is evil. I heard a rumor of who Sadie Sink is playing. It got kind of spoiled last night at the red carpet, but I'm not gonna say it for this point of view. But now we're in this new era where it's the Spider-Man that we know from the shows and the comics, where he's dirt poor, living in an apartment. He's finally gotten that advice: with great power, there must also be great responsibility, which also shout for the MCU for getting the quote right, because the quote is never in the comics. With great power comes responsibility. It's with great power, there must also come great responsibility, which is like the full quote. So they say that. Chef Kiss, love that. But now I think we're more in this grounded Spider-Man where, there's going to be some still spectacular things. There's going to be some weird sciencey things and fantasy aspects of it. But it's exciting to see our guy take on being that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man in New York now.
Yeah. And I agree what you said about like origin wise. I love that MCU decided to go a different route of introducing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because I would say, and I don't know if you agree with me, I feel like Tom Holland's Spider-Man in this upcoming movie is reaching the point of Garfield's Spider-Man from the first one, and I'd say Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in the second one. Like, I feel like this is when they finally reach that point, because MCU decided, let's, like, everyone knows the story. Let's skip the whole bit by a spider, yada, yada, yada. So maybe now in this new one, be like you said, you have broke Spider-Man living alone in an apartment.
No one knows who he is again. Like,
no one knows who he is.
He's a big part of Spider-Man.
Yep, that works. That's how it was in the Sam Raimi ones. That's how it was in the Garfield one. And so maybe we get to a point, or maybe we have a wink at Tom Holland getting a job with the Daily Bugle, and it's like now we're lining up with the rest of the Spider-Man story, because we haven't gotten to the Daily Bugle yet. We haven't gotten to the photographer side of the MCU.
My God, Spider-Man. I hope he's not a photographer. I hope, because it's like such a digital platform, the Daily Bugle, I hope he's like a TikTok like filmer, like doing verts for them. Would be very funny. No, I agree with you. And we're at the point where like it's more comic accurate now, which is cool. But I love the route that we took to get here. And what's beautiful about Spider-Man is Spider-Man has so many stories throughout his life. He has the high school stories. He has the college stories. He has his married. He has kids in the future kind of thing. Because of Tom Holland, the age that he started this with, we got the high school saga, high schools of the past. Now it looks like, from what the trailers look like, I don't like. obviously he doesn't go off to MIT with Ned and MJ. Like we're in like a collegey kind of time frame right now with this new movie coming up, but it might even be post college, which also makes sense given Tom Holland's age. He's way over the age of 22, I think. I think he's like 26 or 27 now. But anyway, like we could do Tom Holland Spider-Man forever with the different iterations, which is really cool. But we should get back to the list. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
number
4. So my number 4 is from No Way Home, the nanotech takeover of Doc Ock's arms. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. The fact that he could, the fact that he could use the nanotech in his suit, because I don't think it wasn't the Iron Spider that he was, or actually, was it the Iron Spider? I can't fully remember right now. But whatever suit that he had on, the nanotech that was coming off, being able to take that to fully control like his enemy's suit. I was like, that is phenomenal. Now, granted, he doesn't have that suit anymore, because my first thought is, well, if I could do that, guys like Scorpion are getting dusted. It's over. Like you can't fight me. Anyone that's using technology, this Stark Tech is putting belt to ass. Like it's over. But watching that scene where he just took it over, and then he's sitting there while Doc Ock thinks like he has the upper hand, and he's just like, wow, this is pretty impressive what you have here. And like just like disabling this guy who obviously anyone who's a Spider-Man fan knows this is leader of the Sinister Six. Like this is a huge deal of a villain, and you're just toying with him right now. Like, but I loved the nano, like I love the use of the nanotech when it came to that, like just that whole situation of like, you think that I'm your Peter Parker. Trust me, you're in a whole nother ball game, Octavius, and let me show you how it's done in this world.
Yeah, awesome. And it's cool because obviously you have Alfred Molina coming in, reprising his role from the Raimi films, but using like the tech that's in our MCU. That combination is just so cool, and yeah, it's such a badass scene, especially when Doc Ock loses it a little bit, because Doc Ock is probably my favorite.
He's an awesome villain.
Is he my favorite? Yeah, he's probably my favorite Spider-Man villain, and I think a lot of that comes from Alfred Molina's performance in Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man No Way Home. That's where I first became obsessed with Doc Ock, even more so than Green Goblin, but that's a great scene as well. My number 4 comes from probably my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time, Spider-Man Homecoming. And it's the moment when Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture, is driving Peter, and Liz to the homecoming dance, and he connects the dots that Peter is Spider-Man, who's been interfering in his business. Spidey's been trying to like catch a Vulture and his henchmen in the act of stealing the old like technology from the aliens, stuff like that from the first Avengers movie. And Liz goes inside, whatever, to the dance, and he just goes, "Does she know?" And Peter realizes, "Oh, freak, he's on to me," kind of thing. And he does that move where he puts like the gun like behind his backrest kind of thing on the car, so that way Peter can see it, and he just delivers like one of the most just chilling monologues in MCU history. Like Vulture is legitimately one of my favorite MCU villains. Like obviously Thanos, obviously Killmonger is great. Doom is going to be great. But what Michael Keaton does in this role as Adrian Toomes as the Vulture, and especially in the scene, is just chilling kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just love it because it's like the stern dad talk of like, be good to my daughter kind of thing, but even more so because it's like, I literally have a gun. I will kill you. Don't interfere in my business again. You do this, I'm hurting you. I'm hurting everyone you ever love. But he also has that funny line like, "Show a good time, not that good, and stop interfering in my business, or I will murder you," basically.
Yep, I will end you.
One of my favorite scenes. And again, this has really set up a lot of stuff with like how Spider-Man is in our MCU, because like I'm so used to Spider-Man, no one knowing his identity besides like, in some comics, obviously MJ and Aunt May, and sometimes everybody knows who he is. Like in Civil War II, the comic book, that people find out Spider-Man is Peter Parker, basically. But for the most part, his identity is so important for him. So for this very first movie to have like a villain, like Ned finds out, obviously Aunt May finds out at the end of the movie that Peter is Spider-Man, but to have the villain find out who he is, and then you find out Toomes keeps that secret a little bit. Not even a little bit. He keeps that secret at the end of the movie where he just kind of lets it go when he goes to jail. It's just so freaking cool. I love the scene. It really, Homecoming's such a great freaking movie. It's like it might be a top 5 MCU movie for me, honestly, and it's definitely my favorite Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, Vulture, I think they did such an amazing job. Again, MCU, cheers, kudos, an amazing job with Vulture, because every Vulture rendition that I had ever seen, he is like
the loser.
He's like a 80-year-old man. His bones are about as brittle as a bird to begin with. Like he's just old, decrepit. And this time, like they really made Vulture somebody to fear. Like this is someone you need to be scared of.
I couldn't believe. Sorry, the Wi-Fi cut out. Sorry, my bad.
No, I was saying like they really made this Vulture something to be scared of, and they took on the fact that, let's be honest, Vulture's daughter, I think we end up seeing her maybe 2 or 3 other times in the MCU Spider-Man movies, because she was just she's just a pawn. Yeah, she's a pawn for Vulture. Like, so like you said, to have that lineup of the strict, like, protecting my daughter vibe, but also I'm letting you know right now, F around and find out.
Yeah. That
level of Vulture, I don't even remember that from TV shows or like they took Vulture and they turned him into, it's almost like Kilmer, like when they told Kilmer, we want you to play Vulture. Here's some source material on Vulture, but we want you to come with that same energy you came with.
You mean Keaton?
As Keaton, yes.
You're thinking of the other Batman?
Yeah, I'm thinking of the other Batman.
I was like, what? Yeah, you're the other Batman. I was like, he's the other Batman.
I'm like, come in here with the same energy that you came in with for Batman. Yeah. Like, we want that type of energy. And he owned it. Yeah. I was like, this is dope. Like you said, it was actually chilling. It was they gave Tom Holland a starter villain that could actually strike fear into a young Peter. Obviously, the Peter that we have now is not going to be as scared of Vulture, even though Vulture is outside of Octavius. And if we ever do get Osborn, Vulture is extremely intelligent. And so you gave him a starter villain that was actually terrifying. You made him more terrifying than they normally do in the comics. And I thought it was chef's kiss.
Yeah, I remember when they was announced that like Vulture was going to be the villain. I was like, what that's who we're starting off with. I didn't think the Romney Spider-Man starts off with the Green Goblin. And obviously Spidey's like arch villain number 1.
Batman, Joker, Superman, Lex Luthor, Spider-Man.
I didn't expect us to go
Goblin.
That I thought maybe we'd get like a Goblin or Doc Ock in like the second movie kind of thing. Maybe not Doc Ock because I knew we already did that a second time, but like I thought we'd get like a big villain in the second movie, kind of like the Christopher Nolan Batmans where Joker comes in the second movie. I didn't think we were going to get Vulture though, so I knew we were going to get the cream of the crop, but I thought like Mysterio would have been who we got. Maybe we try Electro, which Electro is a little tough to do just because he was the last villain in the last standalone Spider-Man movie with Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Garfield.
Yeah.
Maybe you could have done Rhino, but you also do that in Amazing Spider-Man. So it was cool because we haven't seen Vulture. So that was probably a great pick because it was the first villain we haven't really seen yet. We've seen all the other villains, the main Spider-Man villains. We've seen Venom. We've seen Goblin. We've seen the only one we haven't seen is Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
But then when I found out it was Keaton, I was like, Keaton's not coming to the MCU for some crap role, and he was not coming. He came for an awesome role, and it was really cool because, like I said, when you hear Thanos is going to be in an MCU movie, Loki's going to be in an MCU movie, Doctor Doom, you're like, okay, these are going to be awesome villains. When you hear Vulture, you're like, the Vulture? He sucks in the comics.
Vulture?
And then he just turns in a great performance. He's one of my favorite villains in the MCU. So
yeah, and I think that was probably by design. I don't think MCU was like, we don't want to give you a villain that you guys have seen before. You've seen Green Goblin. You've seen Doc Ock. You've seen Venom, even though who knows, we might actually see Venom again. Like there's that Easter egg in the last one, so maybe we get another Venom. But you had like you said, you had
we had everyone. We had Rhino, we had Sandman, we had Hydro Man, we had
all you had all Lizard. I forget the guy's name.
Lizard.
Yeah. So you had Lizard, you had Electro, and MCU was like, who's another villain that we can give that's not like overpowering, but is also good enough for neighborhood Spider-Man? Like, these are big time villains. It's almost like if we're going to do Batman, like obviously everybody knows Batman and Joker. Well, let's start them off with something a little lighter, like a Scarecrow. Not like, Joker's cream of the crop. Let's start with something smaller. So I like that they started them off with Vulture, and I think that's probably their plan. Is like let's give somebody that people haven't seen before, because I feel like the big thing for MCU is we know that there are other movies. We want to give you something new, so you're not comparing us to, well, how did this movie do it? Because we all know that's easily what's going to happen. If they were to decide we're going to have a new Doc Ock or a new Green Goblin, you're all going to go, how does this one stack up to the old one? And most likely it's probably going to hurt you more than help you.
Yeah.
But I think they did a great job picking Vulture.
Yeah. All right. You're number 3.
So my number 3 is from No Way Home. It is Aunt May's death. Now, I don't like this is one of my favorites because Aunt May dies, but it's more of the reaction. So when Aunt May passed, you have that, heartwarming scene and everything there. But that was one of those points. Like in every movie, there's been little moments where you really see Peter grow and really like evolve. And when Aunt May died, it's almost like you saw something in Peter just snap, which is probably what led to the crash out with Green Goblin, obviously. But that snap, and I think about even to the animated show of like, sometimes you need to stop holding yourself back. You are so much stronger than you are. You are capable of so much more. And when Aunt May passed, he just evolved. Like it's like, I don't know if it would be a great description, but it's almost like mentally he went Super Saiyan. He was ready to be like, you know what? No F's given. If I see a bad guy, I might punch him in the chest and make his shoulders touch. Like, I am pissed.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I absolutely loved what that scene created for his character.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about this because I'm going to talk about something kind of similar soon. But my number 3 is from the second movie, Far From Home. It's the bridge fight scene between Mysterio and Spidey. It's awesome. He ends up using like stop it's like basically this whole thing with like the technology, right? Like Mysterio's using the technology to do all the production and stuff like that. Spidey's been kind of relying a lot on the Stark technology as well, between like the glasses and all that stuff. But this he has to use his Spidey sense to like actually detect where oh my god, is it Quentin Beck? Is that his freaking name? Quentin Beck? Is that Mysterio's name?
Yeah. Quentin Beck.
Quentin Beck, right?
Played by Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, Quentin Beck is So that bridge fight scene is awesome. I think it's in London. It's so good. Like there's times I've just looked up the YouTube video and just rewatched just that scene just because I loved it so much. Obviously Mysterio gets it in the end kind of thing, but that scene is one of my favorite Spider-Man MCU fight scenes, especially where it's just a one-on-one fight scene. Like obviously No Way Home has the great fight scene with all the villains with the 3 Spider-Men, but like one-on-one combat wise, it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, so I actually had this as my number 2.
Okay, very good. So I was talking about
yeah, so I actually had this as my number 2, and it was just the use of the Spidey sense. Like it was almost like ninja-esque how good it was for him to, because he fully did the whole like, I'm gonna close my eyes, I'm gonna calm my whole body, and he just flew through, using his Spidey sense, flew through this corridor of drones, both in the tunnel and outside of the tunnel, and just destroying things left and right. And I love the final part where he gets to Mysterio and he goes to shoot the gun at him, and he just catches it.
Yeah.
Chills. I was like, this is the best view. Like this is the best version in my eyes of Spidey sense being used. Like I know there's and I don't know if you had this down as one of yours, but in No Way Home when he uses his Spidey sense and he like catches on to Green Goblin.
That I don't have that, but that's the best like visual representation of Spidey sense in anything that's not animated. Like any live action Spider-Man, that's the best, like chills in the movie theater when that scene happened.
Yeah, because he just like he knows, he's like something's wrong.
The sound editing to like quiet everything, the impact of that Peter Tingle or the Spidey sense.
Yep, it's like a humming, and he's like something's going on. But as far as like in a fight way, I thought that fight with Mysterio was just absolute perfection, because he's like, I don't need all your tricks and tech and all of that. I don't need anything. I'm just going to trust my instincts, and you're not touching me.
Yeah.
Period. Like, he's like, I got my mask off. He's like, I don't even care anymore. You can see my face. You know who I am.
Yeah.
We're doing this. All these tricks that you have, all these backup plans, none of it is going to work. The Spidey sense is peak.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is absolute perfect use of the Spidey sense in a combat mode.
Yep. Absolutely. Totally agree. So that was your number 2. So should I go to my number 2?
Yeah. Yeah.
You might have this as your number 1. I don't know though. Is your number 1 from Homecoming?
It is.
Maybe it is then. Mine is Peter pushing himself out of the rubble. This comes in the same movie after Iron Man has the whole quote, if you're nothing without the suit. No, what was it? Oh my god, what is it? I wrote it down somewhere.
Yeah, it was something.
If you're nothing without the suit, you shouldn't have it. So he's in his like the hoodie, the zip up hoodie with like the goggles, whatever. There's the part where he's just crushed under the rubble, having a fight. He's kind of given up a little bit. Then he looks at himself. He sees like his reflection in the water, and it's like half Spidey's face, half Peter Parker's face. Yep. And he pushes up the rubble himself, being like, "Come on, Spidey! Come on, Spider-Man! Come on, Spider-Man!" And he's able to find that strength within himself, especially because he's not using any tech. It's just straight up his superpowers, his will, really, to like be like, I've been punched out a lot. I've been beaten down by this vulture. I've been beaten down by Iron Man, not in physical way, but like, I thought I could do this. And Tony Stark's telling me, nope, you're done. You're not, you're being such a loser about this right now. for him to find that inner strength himself. It's like, no, I am somebody without the mask. I am me. I have these powers. I have responsibilities to this. And he pushed himself out of the rubble. Very similar to how he does something similar in the comics. Just, I remember being in the theater being like, oh my God, like this is the comic books coming to life. Like Spidey recognizing his power and the willpower within himself to do this. It was just awesome. I love that scene.
Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man in Homecoming, like, yeah, just his raw power. Like, again, just like I was saying before, this is one of those moments where he's learning what he's actually capable of.
Yeah.
He had no idea. I mean, we never really got an answer to, did Spider-Man make his first suit, or did Iron Man give him his first suit?
Like the traditional Spider-Man look suit. That was from Tony.
The suit he shows up with
in Civil War.
Did Tony give him that suit? Okay.
Yeah, and you actually see when he gets that, because the beginning of Homecoming, is it Homecoming? Yeah, the beginning of Homecoming is like Peter kind of doing a documentary style of that whole experience, like going to Germany, and like Happy is next to a hotel with him, and he's like, got your suit on, so he puts on like the homemade outfit that we see in that scene, and then he's like, where's the briefcase? Where's the briefcase? And Peter's like, what are you talking about? And they open up a door, and he goes, oh my God, I didn't know this hotel room was big. I didn't know this was a room. And there was a briefcase, and he pressed the button, and that's where like the Spidey suit from Civil War and Homecoming, like that traditional Spider-Man suit. Yeah, that's all from Tony.
Okay, because I wasn't sure, but yeah, like him really learning what he can do. In every movie, he learns something new about himself, and it just grows to just how amazing Spider-Man is. Because it's like with all these different superheroes, you know, they have lots of money, they've got tech, they've got, you know, superpowers and everything like that. But this is one of the few superheroes, and same thing in comics, even though he has all of these powers, he's still just a regular person just trying to figure it out. Like, I feel like you don't get that a lot with characters. Like with other heroes, it's almost like they have the power and they've got most of it figured out.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man, you don't get that. Like Spider-Man, it really feels like this really is just a kid.
Yeah.
Like
still figuring it out.
Yeah. And then you, like I said, you go back to the other Spider-Man movies, it's low self-esteem and kind of quiet and everything. Like, so it's like growing into, I have this, like this growing confidence within Tom Holland's Spider-Man is always amazing to see. Mm-hmm. And I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Stevie, you're number one, and then I'll do my number one, and then we'll do quick honorable mentions.
Yes. So my number one is from Homecoming, and it's actually a tie-in to my favorite Spider-Man, Miles Morales.
Okay.
So for anyone that does not know, there is the usual Spider-Man that, you know, everyone is aware of, the red and the blue suit, you know, flying through Manhattan, Brooklyn, etc. And then there is another Spider-Man that some may not know about, named Miles Morales, who is from Harlem, who actually turns out to be an understudy in most cases to Peter Parker. Now, I've always been a huge fan of Miles Morales. I learned about Miles Morales when I was about 13, 14 years old. And what led me to it is Spider-Man already being one of my favorites, but then finding out that there is, for lack of better words, an ethnic superhero. So an ethnic version of Spider-Man. That's not like some multiverse Spider-Man, like an actual, he's Black and Latino, speaks Spanish. I think his mom is like is Puerto Rican, but he's an ethnic superhero. There
Mhm.
aren't a lot of, I guess the best way I can put it, there aren't a lot of superheroes in Marvel that can't get a sunburn. So Miles Morales is one of those type of people. So in Homecoming, it's very subtle, and if you follow the comic books, then you would know this. But in, I believe, one of the weapons dealer, who is played by Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, if you follow his music, the weapon dealer for Vulture's goons, or actually not, Vulture's goons, because one of them ends up getting the hands to be the Shocker.
Yep.
The weapons dealer is actually Aaron Davis. Aaron Davis is the uncle of Miles Morales, but is also another villain who used to work under Wilson Fisk by the name of the Prowler. Mm-hmm. Now, anyone that's seen the Sony animated Into the Spider-Verse movies and whatnot, those mainly follow Miles Morales. So hearing an Aaron Davis and knowing exactly who it was, and knowing, so if Aaron Davis is in the MCU, that means eventually, please, there is going to be a Miles Morales. I also love that in Beyond the Spider-Verse, where they show all of the different variants, there is Donald Glover dressed up as the Prowler in one of the containment cubes. And so I was like, oh my God, please give me Miles Morales. I love Miles Morales. And Cam, I know I sent this to you a couple of days ago, but the MCU man of it all, Kevin, has also said he would love to bring Miles Morales into the MCU. Their plan is just waiting for Sony Animation to be done with their trilogy. So that's why this is my number one, because it's just all the little breadcrumbs that lead to a possible Miles Morales Spider-Man in the MCU.
Yeah, I mean, it's so obvious Miles is going to come in eventually, kind of thing. Whether or not it is actually like Donald Glover's like nephew, or not. Like, I would love to see him in. I don't know if you know the reason why it was so cool Donald Glover was in the movie. Like, it's kind of hinted that he's the Prowler. It's because Donald Glover is actually like the inspiration Brian Michael Bendis, the creator of Miles Morales, had to create Miles Morales. Was like he pictured just a kid version of Childish Gambino, basically, because I think in the comics, Miles is like 12 or 13. He's a young kid. But like Don Glover was the basis of that, so it was cool having him come in and kind of hint that there's a Miles somewhere, kind of thing. So eventually we'll get it. Whether or not that's the actual Miles we'll get, it's cool. But I love that that's your number one moment. I obviously know how much you love Miles as a hero, so hopefully we'll get him eventually, so he can be in the movie to be one of your favorite Spider-Man moments. But my number one, kind of reminiscent to your number three, is not the actual like Aunt May death scene, while that is beautifully done. But it's after the fact, when in No Way Home, when Peter's on top of the building, Ned and MJ find him and they hug him and they're like, we're so sorry. And then MJ goes, there's someone here you need to like meet, basically, whatever she says. And then all of a sudden you have two figures silhouetted in the backdrop of New York City.
Yeah.
You know the thing, and it's Toby and Andrew as their Spider-Man. And they come in and like Peter's pissed. He doesn't want to do this anymore. He's like, I'm just gonna end this. And they start telling him stories like when my Uncle Ben, Toby's Spider-Man goes, when like my Uncle Ben died, I wanted to do something to the guy that did him, and I got what I wanted, and it didn't solve my problems. Same thing with Andrew says when Gwen dies, and it was like my fault, kind of thing. Like, I got angry. I got really angry, and it just consumed me, basically. Trying to be like, hey, you're going to want revenge. This is going to consume you. It doesn't solve anything, Peter. Like, this doesn't solve anything. And
it's a canon moment.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful moment. And what's good is it wasn't like I kind of like that their little speeches isn't what solved Peter feeling angry and upset that his Aunt May died. He lets that stuff fester. He's like 2 seconds away from killing Green Goblin, and it literally takes both the other two Peters like physically restraining him and pulling the glider away before he can spear Green Goblin with it. So I like the moment because it wasn't the introduction of the two other Peters because they were already introduced early in the movie, but this is Peter's first time seeing the other two Peters in the film after MJ and Ned discover that there are other Peters, and they have this moment where they're trying to be like, this sucks. We know this sucks. Like, this is your big death moment is your Aunt May dying, just like my Uncle Ben and my Gwen Stacy dying. And it was touching because it brings all those emotions into things. But then that speech, I love that it doesn't solve anything. Peter still wants to get that revenge, and it takes them like physically taking it out of his hand, be like, stop, this isn't going to do, like, we told you, this isn't how this is going to solve anything. Yeah. And have Peter show that mercy and restraint on Green Goblin by not ending him basically later in the film. Those two moments combined and the length in between them really just, it would be so easy to be like, yeah, you know what? You're right. This isn't going to solve anything. Let's do it, guys. No, Peter's like, I hear you, but like, F off. I'm getting that ass, basically.
Yeah.
All right. Real quick, I'll just do my two honorable mentions real quick. Do I have two? I only wrote down one. Tony taking Peter's suit away from him in Homecoming. Like I said, Homecoming is my favorite Spidey movie, live action Spidey movie. He has the line where like he's like, I'm not gonna let some 14-year-old, and Peter's like, I'm 15. He goes, zip it. This is where you stop talking. The adults talking. Yeah, I just want you. And then he like Spidey's like, I just want to be like you. And Iron Man goes, I wanted you to be better. If you're nothing without the suit, you shouldn't have it. Like this big like parenting moment, basically. Even like Iron Man calls it out. He goes, oh my god, I sound like my dad. But this parenting moment, because Peter doesn't have this father figure in his life. Aunt May's awesome, don't get me wrong. But Peter wants to be a hero so bad. He aspires to be an Avenger. Like the whole time, Ned's like, are you gonna be an Avenger? And Peter's like, yeah, I'm basically one, but he isn't. Like he's not close to being an Avenger yet. Yeah. He still has the freaking training wheels on his Spider-Man suit. Yeah. And Tony putting him in his place and taking that away from him, I thought was so powerful after giving him this freaking suit that could do all these things, the taser webs, the web bombs, all this stuff, and taking away from him was so important for Peter's growth down the line. Like I said, that scene that I mentioned. So I just love this scene. RDJ just freaking kills it in this. Like he doesn't have that big a role in the movie, but he does at the same time because Iron Man's presence can constantly like felt. Because even though Peter isn't talking directly to Tony all the time, he's thinking about him. He's trying to get in touch with Happy to get into contact with Tony. Like, I'm ready for my next mission. Let's do this kind of thing. His presence as Iron Man and how important Iron Man is to Peter is so felt. So to have this guy just be like, nope, you're done. I'm putting the brakes on you right now. You can't handle this, and puts Peter in his place. I think is a beautiful, beautiful scene, and he needed it.
Yeah, I mean he needed that tough love in order to grow. So I agree with that.
All right, your honorable mention, my friend, and then
so as of right now, my favorite Spider-Man movie is No Way Home. And this is really a compilation of moments, but all of the side moments of all three Spider-Men in that movie I found to be hilarious. From when Ned first brings them in through the portal and you have Garfield and Tobey's Spider-Man just kind of like walking around the house. It's like, can you clean those spider webs over there? And it's like, well, wait, why didn't you tell us that you're Spider-Man? It's like, it's not really something, you try to tell people. And like, I thought that was hilarious. The whole when they're getting ready for the big fight scene at the end, and Toby's trying to like crack his back and everything, and I was like, oh man, geriatric Spider-Man, this is absolutely hilarious.
They make a joke in that scene. I think it's that scene too, where like Toby's Spider-Man's talking about how like his, unlike the comics, like his webs are like all natural, basically. They come out basically, and there's like this is definitely like a weird like sex joke in there at some point. Off the top of my head, I haven't rewatched it yet. That's my goal, is to rewatch. I rewatched Homecoming today. My goal is to watch No Way Home tomorrow, or Far From Home tomorrow. No Way Home Thursday or Friday,
Yep.
and then The Punisher before we go Saturday. But I'll get that joke eventually. But that's a great scene as well.
Yeah, those are great. The fact that he's like, so wait, it just kind of comes out like you just make it internally. Like,
Yeah,
I sit in labs for
Yeah.
hours trying to put this stuff together. But one of my favorite out of all of them is when they're fighting Electro and Green Goblin and Sandman, and they finally like try to like regroup, and they're like, this isn't working, and they're all kind of like, all right, what are we gonna do? Blah blah blah. And Tom Holland's Spider-Man just goes, guys, I'm used to working with a team. I was an Avenger. And Toby's like, that's awesome.
yeah,
What is that?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
wait, you don't have Avengers? He's like, you guys don't have Avengers? Like, I've been to space. And McGuire, you've been to space?
yeah.
They're like, whoa. This Spider-Man is so much better than us. He's done everything.
Yeah.
We never left the neighborhood. This guy's gone everywhere.
Yeah.
I thought, like, honorable mention, because I thought that was the funniest thing of just kind of like, so this is what Sony did with their Spider-Man, and this is what Disney is doing with their Spider-Man. And it's like, wait, what are the Avengers? And it's like, you never really think of that. Like, they never had anything like that. They never met other superheroes, so they have no clue. As far as they're like, we just met other villains.
Yeah,
I didn't even get to meet
Daredevil.
Daredevil.
Our universe, basically.
Yeah, like I didn't even get to meet Daredevil, where he's met everybody. But yeah, that's my honorable mention.
Yep. And here's the thing. This has been a great conversation. Luckily for you all, we're going to be back a lot sooner. So instead of doing every other week, we are going to record. So we're recording this on Tuesday, the 28th. We're going to get in the lab the Tuesday after Brand New Day comes out. So by the time you're listening to this episode, we're about 1 week away from having a Brand New Day recap episode where we'll talk about our favorite moments from that film. It won't be a full-on breakdown because I'm only going to see the film once. I'm not going to be able to break down every single beat-by-beat moments. But we'll pick like maybe our top 3 favorite moments of that movie, kind of like what we're doing today. But we'll come up with some Brand New Day ones. We'll be seeing it. If you're listening to this on release day Friday, we'll be seeing it Saturday night with my friend Kevin. We'll be back next week with a little Brand New Day top 3 moment breakdown. So I'm very excited about that. So you won't have a 2-week wait. But yeah, this has been fun. Team Spidey, baby. Let's go.
Yep. Team Spidey, let's do it. And Disney, if you're listening, bring me Miles.
Hell yeah.
I want Miles. But another awesome talk. So let's do our sign off until our recap coming soon. Have a lovely Friday, an awesome weekend, and as always, keep it magical.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Dadventures Around the Kingdom. You can listen to the pod on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. You can also find us on our Instagram at Dadventures Around the Kingdom. If you have any ideas for future episode topics you'd like to hear, be sure to DM us on Instagram or email us at datkpod@gmail.com. Again, that's datkpod@gmail.com. If you want to follow our host Stevie on Instagram, you can do that at StevieJenko. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can also do that by following at Magical Vacays by Cam. That's my travel agency page if you're interested in booking Walt Disney World or Disneyland vacation at no additional cost to you. Feel free to DM me on there so we can definitely talk and I can get you a free, no obligation quote. Again, thanks for listening to Dadventures Around the Kingdom. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.